One day, a professor walked into the classroom carrying a large glass jar. As always, there was a spark of intelligent curiosity in his eyes. The students were looking at him with great interest. The professor placed the jar on the table and brought out several large rocks from underneath. Each rock was about the size of a fist. He began placing them into the jar one by one until no more could fit. Then he looked at the class and asked, "Is this jar full now?" The students looked and saw that no more rocks could be added, so most of them nodded and said, "Yes, sir, it's full." The professor smiled and pulled out a bag filled with small pebbles. He poured the pebbles into the jar and gave it a slight shake. The pebbles filled in the gaps between the rocks. Again, he asked, "Is it full now?" Some students hesitated a bit this time, but many replied, "Yes, sir, now it's really full." Next, the professor brought out a bag of sand and began pouring it into the jar. The grains of sand filled all the remaining spaces between the rocks and pebbles. Once again, he asked, "Is it full now?" This time, the whole class responded together, "Probably." Finally, the professor took out a mug of water and poured it into the jar. The water seeped through the sand and filled the jar completely. He smiled and said, "Yes, now the jar is truly full." Then the professor looked at the class and said, "This jar represents your life. The big rocks are the most important things in life: your family, your health, your deep relationships, and your personal dreams and goals. Even if you lose everything else, as long as you have these, your life will still feel complete. The pebbles represent other important things: your career, your house, your car, or your university degree. These are important too, but not as essential as the rocks. And the sand represents the small stuff like scrolling through social media, unnecessary online shopping, or day-to-day trivial activities that don't carry much meaning." He explained, "If you fill the jar with sand or pebbles first, there will be no room for the big rocks. The same goes for life. If you spend your time and energy on the little things or less important matters, you won't have space left for what truly matters. Your rocks are the pillars of your life: your family, your health, your dreams, your passions. If you don't realize their value and don't focus on them first, one day you may realize you've left out the most important parts of life." The professor's final message was even deeper. Place your rocks first. They give your life meaning and foundation. Never let the pebbles and sand take their place. At the end of your journey, it's the weight of those rocks that will define the value of your life. So fill your life with things that nourish your soul and fulfill your heart. The rest, the pebbles and sand, they're just external. After the professor finished speaking, one student raised their hand and asked, "Sir, what does the water represent?" The professor smiled and said, "Great question. The water shows that no matter how busy life gets, there's always room for small moments of joy, like having a cup of tea or coffee with a friend. Often we try to balance all our priorities and fit everything into the limited hours of the day. We get so busy with everyday tasks and small matters that we forget what's truly important. This jar, this life, is not limitless. If you fill it first with sand and pebbles, there will be no room left for the rocks. So I say, place your rocks first: your family, your health, your dreams, your love. Make time for your loved ones. Take care of your physical and mental health, and follow your dreams and passions with courage. And in between, remember to leave space for learning, growing, and showing empathy. And the water? Those are the little joys, the unexpected laughs, the shared moments with friends. No matter how full life seems, there's always room for these tiny bursts of happiness. The pebbles and sand, they're necessary too, but don't let them replace the rocks. In the end, remember, life is not about being busy. It's about being meaningful. It's not about counting the days, but making the days count. Create a balance among the rocks, the pebbles, the sand, and the water, one that brings true joy and completeness to your life. If you believe this story should reach more people, then please like and share the video.
So imagine stepping into a classroom, right? And the first thing you see isn't like a textbook or slides, but this big, empty glass jar sitting on the professor's desk.
Okay. Intriguing already.
Yeah, it's not just a prop. It's about to become this really powerful metaphor, almost like a blueprint for how we structure our lives.
And more than that, what we actually prioritize.
Exactly. It's quite a simple setup, but it packs a punch.
It's an immediate hook, isn't it? You sort of sense something profound is coming, but it's presented so simply.
Totally. And today, we're doing a deep dive into an excerpt from that very story, often known as the rocks, pebbles, and sand of life.
Ah, yes. A classic analogy.
It really is. And our mission today isn't just to retell it, but to really unpack it, pull out the essential, actionable wisdom it offers about filling your life with what genuinely matters most.
It's kind of a masterclass in shifting perspective, really, moving from just like managing your time to intentionally designing your life.
Right. So let's walk through that classroom demonstration. You've got the professor, this large glass jar right there on the table.
Okay.
And then he brings out these pretty large rocks, maybe fist-sized.
Yeah.
One by one, he carefully places them into the jar.
Mm-hmm.
Until you literally can't fit any more in. The jar looks completely packed with these rocks.
Yeah, and that's the first checkpoint, right? He asks the class.
Yep, ask them, is this jar full now?
And the students, well, they see the rocks filling it up. They confidently nod, yes, sir, it's full. Seems obvious.
It does. They feel pretty sure about it. But the professor, he just kind of smiles.
Knows what's coming next.
Exactly. He pulls out a bag of small pebbles, pours them in, gives the jar a little shake.
And naturally, the pebbles sift down, filling all those little gaps between the big rocks.
Right. So he asks again, is it full now?
Okay, so now maybe a little less certainty from the students?
Yeah, there's a bit of hesitation, you can imagine. But still, many of them reply, yes, sir, now it's really full.
Really full this time. Okay.
But wait, there's more. You can almost feel the collective lean in from the class. What's next?
Sand.
A bag of sand, exactly.
Yep.
He pours it in, and those tiny grains just effortlessly fill all the remaining little spaces between the rocks and the pebbles.
Right, gets into every tiny nook and cranny.
So the third time, he asks, is it full now?
And what do they say this time? Still convinced.
Well, now the class responds together, but there's definitely some uncertainty. They say, probably.
Huh. Probably. They're starting to catch on.
They are. You realize you're being guided somewhere. Because it's still not over. Finally, the professor takes out a mug of water.
Ah, the water.
And just pours it in. You watch it seep down through the sand, the pebbles, the rocks, completely filling the jar.
Until there's literally no more space.
Right. Only then, with this knowing smile, he declares, yes, now the jar is truly full.
It's such a powerful reveal.
Yeah.
Because you think you know what full means, but each step adds another layer, challenges that first assumption. Totally. So, okay, what does this whole visual metaphor mean for your life? Let's unpack that core analogy, starting with that first layer of meaning. The professor says it straight out. This jar represents your life.
And this is where the real gold is. He explains the big rocks are the most important things in life.
The big ones.
Yeah. Specifically, things like your family, your health, your deep relationships, and your personal dreams and goals.
The absolute foundation.
Exactly. And what's really striking is he says, even if you lose everything else, as long as you have these, your life will still feel complete. That's huge.
Wow. That really reframes things, doesn't it? It's about internal richness, not just external stuff.
Precisely. Then you have the pebbles.
Okay, the next layer down.
These represent other important things. Examples he gives are your career, your house, your car, or your university degree.
Things that matter, sure, but maybe aren't quite core.
Right. He says, these are important too, but not as essential as the rocks.
So what's the real difference there? Why are they pebbles and not just like smaller rocks? Is it just about size?
I think it's more about their foundational nature. The rocks are irreplaceable pillars. If one's gone, there's a huge void. Pebbles, well, they're often valuable external achievements or possessions.
Ah, okay. So they enhance life, but maybe don't define its core completeness in the same way.
Exactly. Losing a pebble is a setback, maybe a significant one, but losing a rock, that can feel like your whole foundation is shaken.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so rocks are the foundation, pebbles are important externals. What about the sand?
The sand, he says, represents the small stuff.
The everyday noise.
Pretty much. Things like scrolling through social media, unnecessary online shopping, or day-to-day trivial activities that don't carry much meaning.
Oh man, I feel like my inbox is pure sand some days. Just constant little things demanding attention.
It's so relatable, isn't it? The distractions, the fleeting tasks, the things that can just seep into every spare moment if you let them, often without adding real value or fulfillment.
Okay, so the visual is clear. Rocks, pebbles, sand,
Yeah.
all in the jar of life. What was the professor's big warning, the core takeaway he wanted them to get from this?
Well, his main point was really direct, almost stark. If you fill the jar with sand or pebbles first,
Uh-huh.
there will be no room left for the big rocks.
Ah, that's the critical mistake.
Right. He applies it directly to life. If you spend your time and energy on the little things or less important matters, you won't have space left for what truly matters.
It really forces you to ask, are we prioritizing correctly? Are we making enough space for those rocks?
He really hammers it home. Your rocks are the pillars of your life, your family, your health, your dreams, your passions.
And the potential downside.
He warns, if you don't realize their value and don't focus on them first, one day you may realize you've left out the most important parts of life.
That's a heavy thought.
It really is. But what about, say, someone whose career feels like a rock? It consumes so much energy, it feels foundational. How do you shift that mindset if a pebble feels that dominant?
That is the challenge, isn't it? Sometimes the sheer busyness, the demands of a pebble can make it feel like a rock.
Yeah.
I think the professor's point is about being intentional. You have to consciously identify your rocks before you get overwhelmed by the noise of the pebbles and sand. It requires deliberate recalibration.
So it's about conscious choice, not just reactive living.
Exactly. His final message on this part is crystal clear. Place your rocks first. They give your life meaning and foundation. Never let the pebbles and sand take their place.
And he connects it to the end game, too. He says, at the end of your journey, it's the weight of those rocks that will define the value of your life.
Powerful stuff.
Yeah, his advice. So fill your life with things that nourish your soul and fulfill your heart. The rest, the pebbles and sand, are just external.
Yeah,
It's a real call to focus inward.
it absolutely is. It shifts the whole focus from just achievement to genuine fulfillment. But, the story doesn't quite end there. There's that final piece. There's that deeper insight, that nuance.
Because after the professor finished, one student, still thinking it through, asks that great question. Sir, what does the water represent?
And the professor acknowledges it. Great question, because it adds another layer.
So what is the water?
He says, the water shows that no matter how busy life gets, there's always room for small moments of joy, like having a cup of tea or coffee with a friend.
Ah, okay. So even when the jar seems packed solid with rocks, pebbles, and sand.
There's still space for these little bursts of connection, of happiness that just kind of seep in around everything else. They don't need big, empty spaces.
That really hits home, doesn't it? Because we do feel overwhelmed so often. We're juggling everything, trying to cram it all in.
If we get so bogged down in the daily grind, the sand and maybe the pebbles...
That we forget the rocks, or we think there's literally no more time or space for anything else, let alone these small joys.
Precisely. And the professor links this back, reminding everyone, this jar, this life is not limitless.
Yeah. Finite space.
Finite space. If you fill it first with sand and pebbles, there'll be no room left for the rocks. So I say place your rocks first. It's always back to that primary priority.
And he lists them again. Your family, your health, your dreams, your love. It makes you pause and ask yourself honestly, am I really making time for these?
Or just giving them lip service while the sand piles up.
Right. He urges, make time for your loved ones, take care of your physical and mental health, and follow your dreams and passions with courage. These are active choices.
And interestingly, he adds this nuance, and in between, remember to leave space for learning, growing, and showing empathy. So it's not just the big rocks, but also the quality of how you live around them.
Okay, so the rocks are primary, there's space for growth and empathy, and the water.
He confirms. And the water, those are the little joys, the unexpected laughs, the shared moments with friends, those spontaneous bits of light.
No matter how full life seems, there's always room for these tiny bursts of happiness. I like that. It's permission to enjoy the small things, even amidst the busyness.
Exactly. They seep in. They don't displace the rocks if the rocks are placed first.
So he's not saying get rid of the pebbles and sand entirely.
No, not at all. He acknowledges the pebbles and sand, they're necessary too. Life involves chores, work, daily tasks.
Right, you can't just have rocks.
But crucially, don't let them replace the rocks. They have a place, but it's secondary. Supporting role, not the lead.
Okay, so the ultimate lesson, the big takeaway.
It's profound, really. In the end, remember, life is not about being busy. It's about being meaningful.
Oof, that's a big one.
It's not about counting the days, but making the days count. This whole analogy just provides such a clear, potent framework for checking in with yourself.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And it leaves you with that clear call to action. Create a balance among the rocks, the pebbles, the sand, and the water.
One that brings true joy and completeness to your life. It's an invitation, really. Design your life intentionally.
That really is the heart of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
This simple visual, the jar, the rocks, pebbles, sand, water, it just delivers such a profound, actionable message about living intentionally.
True fulfillment. Yeah.
It really boils down to two crucial takeaways, I think. First, that absolute necessity of prioritizing your rocks, getting those foundational things in place first.
Non-negotiable.
And second, that really comforting idea that even when life feels jam-packed, there's always room for the water. Those little unexpected moments of joy and connection.
They find their way in.
So maybe the thought to leave everyone with is this. If life isn't really about just being busy, but about being meaningful,
Yeah.
how can you, listening right now, actively carve out space for or even just notice those small moments of joy and unexpected laughs, the water even when your own jar feels completely full?
That's a really practical question to sit with, isn't it? Finding the water in your day.